Greetings, fellow targeted individuals. Now, a few years ago, I made a video speaking against the Southern Poverty Law Center. I was utilizing my rights to freedom of speech because they were targeting people if they were pro-life and so on. Now, we know that Christians, conservatives have been targeted by DHS. Now, who is helping to make these lists? It's the Southern Poverty Law Center. And it helps to produce special reports for DHS designed to target hate groups and potential terrorist groups. Now, let's look at the people they have targeted. Opposition to abortion. Well, aren't most Christians pro-life? And they've targeted people just because of their political views. Now, we know that the SPLC is funded by liberal groups, radical feminists. And we know that all their ideals, like they support Agenda 21, Antifa, all this stuff has to do with changing society to accept viewpoints coming from the New World Order. Now, I have no problem if you're a part of an anarchy group or Black Power, whatever. That's your right as an American, as long as you don't impose your beliefs on me through force, and as long as you operate in a peaceful manner based on U.S. codes. So when we look at this organization, the SPLC, which works directly with the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, which works with the fusion centers to make reports to target people, and we investigate their partners. Let's look at their partners. This is important, people, because it goes deep. And when I mean it goes deep, it goes straight back to the government, to DOD, DIA, Defense Logistics Agency, Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Police. This goes to prisons, FEMA, which is tied to Citizens Corps. This thing is huge. So these are all their partners. The Pentagon Force Protection Agency, U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Look how massive this is. And these people have stakeholders too. This thing is massive. So targeting is based on making a person sick or making your presence known in a person's life. Now, you can't change people's viewpoints. If they believe a certain way and they're already stuck in their ways, you're wasting your time. You can use all the manipulation. All you're going to do is cause someone to hate you and come and find out who you work for and say enough if the government won't stop the harassment by allowing these agencies to terrorize people through our fusion centers. And we need to work to prevent situations like that where Americans which are awakened, that see what's going on, say, hey, no more, we're not going to allow it. We're sick of dealing with all the Masonic judges and Freemasons and Masonic cops getting involved in targeting us. When people spend thousands of dollars, when people have people tracked and find out where they work at, where they're coming from, and their ties, you can clearly see that this movement goes all the way down through the federal government to the U.S. Secret Service, to Department of Defense, Department of Justice, to the Freemasons, Fraternal Order of the Police, and so on. And many of these organizations which are involved are filled with good people. But what happens is that any time you have an organization which is tied to DHS, they're going to take it as, oh, we are serving the government. And can you imagine if we get another liberal in office, they're going to be saying, okay, this person's pro-life. He could be a bad person. Let's target him because we have a bloated budget and we have over 1.2 million people which can be used for targeting, threat assessments, and harassment. So I've mentioned in my last video exactly what's going on and the serious threat these programs cause. And I've been harassed while traveling. I've been harassed in supermarkets, on the road, in the community. We got to watch these groups that are anti-American, in my opinion, which have slandered Alex Jones, which are moderating our YouTube right now, along with Department of Defense and other agencies. So you have to remember, gang stalking is a governmental movement. The only way we're going to expose this program is by looking to see where these whistleblowers used to work for. Who do they used to work for? Like NSA whistleblower Karen Stewart, DH. Greetings, fellow targeted individuals. A few years ago, I was talking to a fellow TI named John Lang, and his death was reported a suicide. He was stabbed in his abdomen and his upper back. It appears he was trying to escape the fire that was set in his home. But prior to that, he had complained about being stalked and harassed by law enforcement officers and that he felt threatened. And it says here, Fresno sheriff deputies caught lying outside the house of murdered activists. So it appears that there was witnesses that stated that what he was saying was true and that he was actually harassed by the police 1 year prior to his death. I haven't even watched this video right now, so let me share the link of this. Let's see here, it's copblock.org, and this was a year before his death. Let's look on YouTube and check it out. And I communicated with this guy on a different channel that I had. So we know that our police forces are adapting these Stasi-type tactics, which have been linked directly to mass shootings, promoted with our own tax dollars. And the East German Stasi police were mostly comprised of Blue Lodge Freemasons. And it's quite interesting when I start running the tags of people through Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security, DOD, and other agencies. Guess what I find? People that are part of Masonic groups. And this is where it even gets even more hilarious. The same people that brought slaves to America, which is really sad. I have black ancestors. I'm not racist. Used, I think it was Spanish, I forgot which country it was. They used a Masonic symbol to stamp their slaves, except it didn't have the G symbol in it. It was masked a little curly on the sides, the logo. So we have people that want to be Freemasons to have their own Masonic halls separate from the white lodges because the whites won't accept them in the South. So we still have racism. And this movement based on liberalism is manifesting through NSA, DHS, and is being projected into our communities and being promoted through our colleges and universities through different groups. And if you don't believe in what they believe in, then guess what? You're a person that's supposedly a part of a hate group when you're not even a part of a hate group, and you have no ideology, maybe no political belief, maybe you're the kind of the middle of the road like me, and you don't bother no one, you don't own weapons, you don't harass people, you ask for help. So this is what happens when people harass people and systematically terrorize them. These people normally look to see, where is this harassment coming from? They try to act in a logical manner, go ask the city for help, the federal government for help, and then when they start finding out that these different agencies like the UN and so on, when you're making human rights complaints, don't respond back, your police, your fusion centers, CIA, then you start looking and finding, hold on a second, if they're not going responding back, they may have a history of doing this. Let me do some more research, and then you find out, oh my God, it's true. Now, the U.S. Army sprayed chemicals over the whole entire city. This germ, I forgot the scientific name for it, all over San Francisco. People died, people got sick. Supposedly, they said it did it because it wouldn't harm no one. Well, why would you want to spray germs and test it on a population of 1 million people to see what's going to happen? So we find out like every few years, more experiments that are conducted on the people. And a lot of these behavioral research programs, which are coming from Freemasons and so on, secretly are being used on people. So we have all these different organizations in America, which are stakeholders to fusion centers, which are getting information. It's private, but it's being given to the public through certain stakeholders. For what? For the use of targeting. The next time you hear about, on the news, your politicians stating that fusion centers are using Stasi-type tactics, ask yourself, do we really want people that are trying to improve their lives, or maybe an activist or pro-life, being driven insane? I mean, this is a country that's not China. These people that are being targeted, first of all, are just people that are speaking their mind, and they're being isolated and alienated through YouTube and so on. Their comments are being hidden. They can't communicate with people. Do we really